70 years ago, Mao Zedong announced the creation of China from Tiananmen Square. Back then, the Middle Kingdom was a weak and impoverished nation. Today, President Xi Jinping appeared on the same balcony where Mao Zedong stood. He said that there is no force that can stop China. President Xi speaks from a position of strength. China's growing power on the world stage comes from a sustained period of rapid economic change and unprecedented wealth. But the China of 2019 faces its share of challenges and threats as well. So tonight we have for you a SWOT analysis on modern-day China. Let's start with the strength. S. Undoubtedly, China's advantage lies in its economic prosperity. In the last few decades alone, millions have climbed out of poverty. China's manufacturing sector supplies to the entire world. In the last 40 years, China has introduced a series of landmark reforms. Trade routes and foreign investment have opened up. The standard of living in China has dramatically improved. Chinese goods are now practically everywhere, all over the world. So what are the weaknesses? China may be a prosperous state, but that cannot be said about its people. The fruits of economic prosperity have not spread evenly. The gap between the rich and the poor is widening. The inequality is more pronounced in rural China. A large chunk of the Chinese population remains low-skilled. Add the aging population into the mix and the picture does not look rosy at all. So what opportunities can China leverage? China is a global manufacturing powerhouse. There is no denying that fact. Considering its economic strength, Beijing is now aspiring to fill in the gaps left behind by the developed countries of the West. Expect China to play a bigger role in global affairs in the years ahead. But a booming manufacturing sector is not enough. China can yield rich dividends from its large market by opening up to the world. Global business giants are knocking on Beijing's doors. But China follows a strict rule book. It wants all foreign investors to toe the Communist Party line. And they are more than willing, it seems, to tweak their products to enter the Chinese market. So big is the size of this market. From tech companies to retail and even Hollywood, they're all guilty of bowing before the dragon. And the Chinese state is more than happy, it seems, to accommodate them. So if it's all going well, what are the threats? China can no longer hide the disenchantment against the Communist Party. While the party is still dominating force, the protests against it are becoming bigger and more public. Take the case of the Hong Kong protests. For the past 18 weeks, the city has been witnessing mass protests. It began as a peaceful march, but incidents of violent clashes continue to rise. Just today, a protester was shot in the chest by the Hong Kong police. This is the first time that live ammunition has been used against protesters. It's the first time that someone has been hit with a bullet in Hong Kong. China's inability to contain the movement so far shows how helpless it is before the pro-democracy movement. The fear now is that the campaign might spread to other parts of the country. Xi Jinping sent a tough message to Hong Kong in his address today. He said that China must remain committed to the one country, two systems model, but the chink in the Chinese armor is beginning to show.
我们要坚持和平发展道路，奉行互利共赢的开放战略，继续同世界各国人民一道，推动共建人类命运共同体。